Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Random Crafty Acts. My name is Barb, and this is a video to go along with the pictures I've been posting of the cards I'm making for my Christmas donation box. I donate to an organization. The link is listed in the description below. I donate to this organization all the time. I have a specific box that I use, and I already know that I can get about 200 cards in that box. It's time to start the Christmas cards because they need them by the end of, they need to leave here in Southern Illinois by the end of September in order to arrive in California in time for what they will send out. So the first thing I did, because I'm trying to be reasonably economical at this point, is I got out all of my Christmas supplies, and I had all my Christmas stuff in a couple of separate boxes on a shelf. There's a video I will also link below of when I got all of that out and spread it all out. So what I want to look at right now is the work I'm doing with what I had left over from the Enchanting Christmas pack from Paper Rose. And there was a specific aspect of that I'm working with in this video that goes with the pictures I posted. So Paper Rose is a good company. I have bought their things before. I don't usually buy these embossed die cuts, but I did this time. And in all honesty, I really don't remember what I was thinking when I did that, except maybe I just thought they were so cute. And then it was 6x6 paper, it's double-sided. And the piece that I'm particularly working with is this piece right here. And this is the piece that would have had what are referred to as cut-aparts that are small. I think they're 1.25 inches by 2. I have that written on a piece of paper here because I don't remember things. And so I went through, and after I pulled together my supplies like colored cardstock and inks and different things that I might want to use in putting a series of cards together, I went through and I cut 1.75 by 2.25 inch squares, and I put all of these on them, and I had 30 of these, okay? Now, there were multiple ways to make cards with this, but since I already knew I was trying to do this in bulk, I particularly looked for a card design that would allow me, that would be simple, that would allow me to kind of mix some things up a little bit so I didn't get bored, because 30 cards is a lot. And I have got one that I have come up with, so I'm going to show you that, okay? All right, I started out with 2 basic design ideas. All right, this was an embossing folder, and it's just a simple embossing folder. Again, I don't really remember where I got this. I just pulled it out of my stash. And you put a piece of paper in here. You want this dark side up in order to get the raised stuff here, okay? And you run it through a die cutting machine. I have a Sizzix fold away, Big Shot fold away, okay? Now, I discovered pretty quickly that I had 2 options. I could do, this is called ink blending. You just take blending brushes. These aren't expensive, just blending brushes and any variety of inks, and just blend on there to put some color on the white cardstock sheets. Were these. They were 3 3/4 by 5. And then you can, after you have ink blended, you could just put one of the squares here. These were some strips that I had, pieces I had left over in pattern paper scraps, and some semi-coordinating color cardstock. That's a very simple card, 3 3/4 by 5. This is 4 by 5 1/4. You just, anytime you're working with layers like that, you just take the piece you have and you go out by 1/4. At least that's what I do. And then these are A2 size cards which are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. That is the size I standardly use because it works for me. Okay? The organization I donate to, I don't have to decorate the inside. All right? So I started out with this idea. And I decided that because I didn't have that much of this left, at least not necessarily even this particular design, but I think I have one piece of 8 1/2 of the 6 by 6 left. All right, so I moved over into actually working with this. This design has worked really well because there are a couple of things that are easily adaptable. One of those things are after you have put this piece in the middle, okay, you can take any kind of a piece of scrap that you have left and cut it in half, and you can put a piece of it on this side and a piece of it on this side. Yes, that leaves a hole in the middle, but you're going to put this on top of it. Okay, so that allowed me to use another section of scraps. And then with this in the center, after I ink blended this, then I ran it through the embossing folder. And then I took the brush and I used some of the dark and I went back over it to kind of bring those images back out. So that has worked, that's worked really well. Okay, so in this case, I used the snowflakes. I used the, these are ornaments with snowflakes. Snowflakes, snowflakes, ornaments, snowflakes. Okay, so I have 5 of these. Okay, at that point I started getting a little bored. So I dug around and I found this one, okay, which is like, it looks like it's got beads and these kind of decorated images that could kind of be fancy, fancy snowflakes. And again, I used a light color. I think I'm working with Lavender Glaze by Tailored Expressions. A light color on the background, ran it through the die cutter, and then came back in with a darker color and went over the top. Because this is more ornate, and it looks, to me, it kind of reminded me of something that would be hanging almost in a window, then I put the image down here. Because these images already have a sentiment on it, it's made it easier to work with this without having to add a lot of things to it. Again, this is the 3 3/4 by 5, and this is the 4 by 5 1/4. In order to prepare for this, I went through, I did all of these. So I have a whole stack of these already done. I cut a whole bunch of these. Actually, not a whole bunch. I cut enough to do 30. So I cut these, then I pre-cut these. And the other thing I did to get ready for this is I worked with my color palette going in, and I went in, I pulled out all of my purple ink pads, and then I, this is called swatching, I think, and marked which ones. And then if you do this like on one day and then you look at it again the next day, you'll notice that the ink kind of sets a little differently as it dries. And that's how I came up with Lavender Glaze. And the other thing I looked at was how there's a variety of shadings, and this palette worked without all of these, throughout all of these images. Okay, so that's how I did that. I'm going to put together a couple of them for you so you can see how I did that. And from time to time, I pause the video just to kind of get things set up. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, I'm going to make one card all the way through for you. I have a playlist below. You can click on Random Crafty Acts, and then if you will click on the subscribe, that would help. Doesn't cost you anything, but it will put you in a position where it'll help push these videos out so that I can help attract more people to donate cards, which is what my goal is. Okay, so, and then if you click on the Random Crafty Acts, you'll find your way to my playlist. And in my playlist, I've gone into a lot of detail on how to make cards from basic, from like how to cut the paper, all those kinds of things. This is just kind of a shorter video, hopefully. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is ink blend. And when you ink blend, this is an instruction you'll see. You start your motion off of the paper and then move on. And that helps avoid some of the things that tend to happen, like where you get darker spots. Always keep in mind, I use a circular motion. I have seen people do lots of different things. I would suggest that you watch a lot of different YouTube creators. Everybody has a different style, and that you find a style that of a person who gives instructions in a way that actually works for you, okay? All right, so I'm just gonna do the light color here. Okay. And I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna do this one. Okay, this takes, these, I get these at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. They get dirty and stained, and then when I can't work with them anymore, I throw them out. And I also have at least one of them always here with a sticker that says keep this clean, that I use for just basically cutting and not inking or gluing. Okay, this is what a die cutting machine looks like. Typically, I have a standard platform. I have an adapter that I put in just to make it thick enough. In this case, I always use a magic mat. You can find those. You can search for that. I'm not an affiliate. I'm not affiliated with anybody, so I don't promote. But the magic mat kept me from having to keep replacing these, which are the clear plastic plates. Okay. You just lay that in there. Always lay it at a slant. It makes it easier on your rollers. These machines like this, they make some that are electric. I have had this one for a long time. Just set that out of the way. Okay. Okay. All right, and then let me put this back out because once this thing stains, I can't get these inks off either. Okay, so now you can see the raised spots, but you can't really see the raised spots. So I use the small one. And this is archival, Distress Archival ink, Dusty Concord. Okay, very, very, very light touch. Because you're not trying to make like dark circles or anything. Always keep in mind when you're inking, you can go back over it, okay? You don't have to get it exactly the way you want it the first time through. See here, I got a little heavy-handed. That's not gonna make any difference, really. Very light touch. More ink you feel like you have on your brush, the lighter the touch. Okay, that's my air conditioner you hear in the background. I have a dedicated craft space. I am very fortunate in that. My husband and I had a separate building from our house, and his workshop is on one side, and my she shed workshop office is on the other side, and that way sometimes I can go over into his space and borrow things, because sometimes there's some really cool tools that also work with paper crafting. Okay, I think I like the way that looks. Okay, this is one other thing that you can do, and I'm gonna just to show you. I'm putting this on black, so it's not as... This is a technique where after you've done this, you take your brush, okay, and it basically, it kind of creates a dark outline around the outside. Probably not as big a deal in this particular instance, but it is a technique. I learned this in junk journaling. We're really big on going around your different vintagey looking pieces with an ink called Vintage Photo, I think was the name of it. Okay, all right, so the next thing, since I have these, so I had these sets all put together. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is take this. All right, when you are gluing something that has been embossed, you need to go, I find I need to go heavy on the glue. Okay, now there's all kinds of issues related to glues. I use Bearly Arts because it works for me. Okay, I eyeball this. I just like look at it and kind of line it up. I was taught if you can get all three sides the way you want it, and if you see me scooching it a little bit, that's why I use liquid glue, okay, because it gives me a little bit of wiggle, what I refer to as wiggle room. Okay, I had decided I wasn't going to do that on these, that I'm going to do this one. Okay, so then this is the 4x5. We're going to center it. Okay, another thing you can do, this is kind of dirty, but you can turn it over and press it down. Okay, we're going to put glue on the back of this. All right, and then I just kind of pick a spot. All right, and then that sets that. And then the last thing I always do is my granddaughter designed and ordered and gifted me this wonderful stamp that I stamp on the back of all of my cards. And it's called Random Acts of Kindness Studios. I'm not a professional business, but she thinks I am. Okay, and so that completes this card. All of the others, if you will look in the playlist, you'll find it linked in the description below. But this will give you an idea of how I'm making the cards that I'm posting the pictures of. Thank you very much, and keep checking back.